Hi guys, welcome to another episode of Trick Lama. And for the first time in 3 episodes, we have the full quorum. We've got Rocky on my right.
Really?
Zainul on my left. Yes, you were not here last. You were not here the last one, and you were not here for the previous one.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but there's me, Terence, the only constant one.
Yes. What will we do without
Shazmin
you?
is smiling because she knows our long-suffering producer and head of Poda Boom, Shazmin Shamsuddin.
Yeah.
Great. So today we have an old friend today. It's not his first time with us. We have the co-founder of Malaysiakini. I mean, that's his first reference for most people. Mr. Premesh Chandran. Premesh, thanks for joining us today on Trick Lama.
Thanks for having me on board.
And you are here today in your capacity as the Deputy Chairperson of the newly formed Malaysian Media Council. Am I right?
That's right. Malaysian Media Council or Majlis Media Malaysia.
Great.
Ramesh, this Malaysian Media Council, there's so many iterations of it before. I remember, Rocky, 40 years ago, people talking about the media, what was it?
Malaysian Press Council.
Malaysian Press Council.
yeah.
I say along the way, there's so many things. I think I would like to say that then, I'm not sure about now yet, then I was opposed to the idea of the council because we already have so many things looking after us because we do not know what the media council, because the press council was idea mooted by the government. So why do we need another body to oversee the operation of the media as it is, So along the way, things change. What changed? I mean, you were from Malaysiakini, sort of coming from the outside media. And then obviously you will be against any regulatory things. So what changed for you that you will be supporting this Malaysian Media Council?
Sure. Let me give a bit of history, right? Since independence, most of our time the media has been controlled under the Printing Presses and Publishing Act, PPPA. And then broadcast media was similarly controlled. So that is an idea that the government can license and control who can be a publisher, a media company. In the mid-1990s, this was the first big change. With the Communication and Multimedia Act under Tun Mahathir, for the first time they said that you can operate an internet media, so to speak, online media, without requiring a license. So that kind of created a duality. Very controlled traditional media and kind of a freer internet.
Yep.
And that's when people like Malaysiakini and other online publishers emerged. Today is a very different terrain. It is not just media that is speaking to the public. We have influencers, we have so many people online. Even like, for example, this podcast is a form of media, right? So we have many, many players in the space. So, the thinking is that how do we understand the information space of the media space as a whole? And what kind of laws and regulations we need. So we don't see the Media Council as another form of regulation. We see it as moving forward from a very old type of regulation and trying to do away with those regulations into a new space. Obviously, the new space cannot be born overnight. But how do we transit from old types of regulation to a new way of understanding it? And the principle of the Media Council, unlike previous incarnation or suggestions, it is self-regulation. So media companies can join, practitioners can join, and then they elect the council. So that's a very profound difference than, say, the previous suggestions of a Malaysian Press Council and other, which was essentially appointed by the minister or by the government.
So the role of the Media Council is to regulate.
It's part.
Self-regulation.
It's not to say regulate. Part of it is to introduce a code of conduct and mechanisms to regulate. But it's much more than that. It's also a voice for the industry. It also deals with media sustainability, media accreditation, looking at other laws like the Official Secrets Act. So it's actually kind of liberalizing away from the other environment, but to create a method where the industry can regulate ourselves in terms of what we consider professional journalism.
Coming from where Rocky and Zainul were trying to articulate about their, sorry, I know Rocky hasn't chimed in yet, but their reluctance in supporting the press council, and me too, in the sense that I remember having roundtables with for information ministers as far back as Khadijah Fasih. Sabri Chik, talking about the setting up of the council, and the reluctance to support that was because of the pre-existing regulations like Official Secrets Act, Sedition Act, Printing and Publications Act, like you pointed out, and today we have got the MCMC Act. So the precondition for the media practitioners then was, we don't talk about Media Council until you address all the other repressive acts. So what has changed? Because with those acts, those enactments still exist.
Yeah, so if you look at the report of the Pro-Time Committee which helped draft the Act, we clearly stated that we need to do away with the old laws. That was in the report. That's a principal stand of the council even today. Right? We are not saying that the old laws are perfect. I don't think anybody in the industry says we want all the old laws. I don't think any of you here agree that the old laws are perfect, right? I don't think that's the case. The question is, how do we move away? So some people said, yes, you have to do away with all the laws. Only then we will look at a council. But the government put it the other way around. It says, you form the council first, and we work together towards reforming the laws. So from my point of view, I can also understand the government's point of view. They cannot create a lacuna. They cannot just empty out the existing laws. They'll say, look, yes, you want a new form of regulation, but where is this body? Who governs this body? So I think the idea from the government's point of view is, yes, let's move away, but we need to set something up first. And, I'm fine with that. I've been a startup person my whole life, creating new companies. All of you all also startups. Nothing is perfect overnight. I think, come on, you all run companies, right? So it's how do we come together to build this? But the principle is that this is an elected body, which is fundamentally different than previous councils. So it's not like Suhakam and others, which is appointed by ministers. So why wouldn't the industry want to participate and come together as an industry to make the industry better for everybody? So I think that's the real benefit of having the current version of the Malaysian Media Council.
Rocky, apart from being the co-presenter, you are also the president of the National Press Club.
Yeah.
So you are wearing two hats today. For this episode. Sorry. So what do you want to respond to that?
No, I just want to make one observation from years of getting involved in the attempt to set up the National Press Council or Malaysian Press Council and then the Malaysian Media Council. I think two things have made it possible for the Malaysian Media Council to happen. One is that the media used to be so fragmented. We used to be very suspicious of each other. Whoever was trying to lead the Malaysian Media Council or the Malaysian, well, let's call it the Majlis Media then, did not have the trust of everybody else. And then to add to that, we were also suspicious of the government, and the government was suspicious of us. I think the game changer happened in, if I'm not mistaken, Gobind really pushed. Gobind Singh, the former minister, he really pushed for this council, got everyone together. In fact, got our former boss Kadir Yassin to lead the initiative, which was kind of funny because Kadir used to be on the other side.
Yeah.
And then Gobind left, another government took over, and then when Fahmi took over, the current minister took over, he initiated the early meetings. And there was one meeting when the previous champions of Majlis Media decided to pass the baton to, I believe, to you. That during one meeting, the MPI president then, who was nominated to lead the initiative, said, no, it should be led by a new, a fresh blood, new blood. And Premesh was mentioned. He accepted I think that was when Fahmi also appointed or got his deputy, Teo Ni Ching, and who was very hands-on. And I guess when the two parties met, started meeting regularly, that's when things became serious and trust was built. And today we have the Malaysian Media Council passed by Parliament.
Yes.
And
Yeah,
it's not.
primer,
It is not. It's not a mean feat. It's not a small thing.
Yeah.
Is a culmination of 40 over years. So a lot of those guys, those pioneers, have died. You know, we know them personally, and so. I had, like you, I have Zainul, Datuk Zainul. I was once against the council, including the council to include social media, and then it was the blogs lah, because when blogs was fab, everybody was blogging. I was against the idea of including the blogs, because how do you regulate, or how do you discipline? How do you communicate with the blogs? You know.
Yeah.
So the burden on your shoulders, Prem, is unimaginable. Please exclude us in your recruitment drive, because we do not. I personally don't fancy the challenge of dealing not just with the mainstream media, which I think would be the easiest to deal with. The news portals, and they are like before, they are government owned or government supported, opposition supported, and then independent news portals, and then you have the influencers, and it's a huge burden. So congratulations for really putting yourself in. After all those years in Malaysiakini, you thought you'd get away with an easy life.
Yeah. But what personally drives you to take up this thing?
No, I see, if you look at the media today, I think one biggest threat the media faces is actually media sustainability.
Oh, of course.
Right? I think that's been a big challenge, right? And how do we resolve these issues? Right? How do we figure out the laws and policies that will create kind of a level playing field that we can all compete and do great journalism, but also be enough to pay all our journalists who do really great work for us. How do we not get punished and taken to court for every small thing, right? How do you think about the age of AI coming in a big way, right? So these for me are fundamental problems that go beyond me say running Malaysiakini, or you're running your own media, right? These are larger issues, not just here in Malaysia, but all over the world. For example, a lot of content today is being taken by the AI companies. Are we as individuals going to, try to fight our individual battles? We lost out to Facebook and Google and all earlier on. So for me, it's to look back at the last 20 years and think about what's the next 20 years going to be about, and are we, think about it in those terms. And I feel there's so much of change happening. And that as an industry, we need to come together and build, the industry as a whole. What happens if we don't? Is the industry that we know, journalism, going to go by the leeway? Are we not going to be able to pay enough? That we only have, influencers running the media? We've seen what happened in places like US and others, where, there are such stronger partisan voices that you hollow out the middle. Right? Do we want to live in a society where, everybody is so partisan and shouting at each other? The mainstream media plays a critical role, even if we may disagree, which is fine. And somehow we disagree about the same things. Right? These are the issues, these are the facts. Okay, you have your opinion, I have mine. And that, I think, is fine. But everybody can kind of see, what's going on. In some countries today, we live in a post-truth society where people don't even agree on the fundamental facts. And I don't want that to happen in Malaysia. If that happens in Malaysia, we can lead to a very explosive situation in this country. And I see some of that already happening in social media. People are in a way letting loose. Mainstream media has always been very much more careful. I remember those days when we started Malaysiakini, the argument was that we need the Printing and Presses Act, because if you are independent, do not know what you'll be publishing, you might create a riot. But in fact, even under the Communication and Multimedia Act, I think the online media behaved very well and professionally.
I remember the early days of Malaysiakini, you guys used to get kicked out of press conferences. You couldn't get your media accreditation.
Yeah. So we've moved away from the idea that you need a Printing Presses Act, that media can self-regulate. Right? But I think the big challenge is really ahead of us with AI and sustainability. And you ask me what motivates me, that's what motivates me to bring the industry together, to figure these things out together.
I think the sustainability is real about the ability of the media companies to sustain themselves.
Last time you start media company, become millionaire. Today you start media company, you become bankrupt.
Tell us about it.
Tell us about that. You only know too well.
Yeah. No, but basically, I think clearly the landscape has changed so much. I always tell these stories to the younger people to the point that they are bored about it. I say when I first started, there were still typewriters in the newsroom. You know, so now they don't even know what typewriter looks like. My daughter don't even know how to hold a newspaper. So, you know, we used to have 7, 8 newspapers delivered to the house. So, but now I don't have a single newspaper delivered to the house and I don't miss it. I mean, that's the situation of the media reality. Yeah? So now when you talk about media, we're trying to define media as a whole. It's very, very difficult, right? You're talking about mainstream, you're talking about blogs, you're talking about influencer, but I'm not sure what else will come. You know,
Sure.
I think
AI media.
Yes, that's what I was about to say. AI media is something that, you know, it's just one guy. Maybe at some stage, not even a guy, just a computer programming. You know, like the science fiction. They are determining where the flows of content is, where the content is going to go in terms of all platforms, from print to web, to social media, to, you know, to one message going around from same people. So that's the danger. So that's definition of media I myself trying to figure out. So, but as a guy who's been in the industry for a long time, 26 years now, you know, Kini, it's going to be this year, this month.
Yes.
Well done. Congratulations.
Next week.
Yeah, next week,
Oh,
26.
next week, 26
Well done.
years.
We didn't know that you're going to last this long.
Neither did I.
No, seriously, when it started, it was like, oh, it could be a fad or something like that. When the zipper fold, but it's not bad. I think it's very good. So, but I think the most important for us to trying to figure out what is media actually, yeah? What is media actually, and then what does it do? And does the media that sells beauty product is something that falls under the Media Council? Or the media that give hints on gardening tips, you know? Or the media that report to Parliament, or media that reports sports? Where does, for the council, where does your interest lie? No, I'm not saying jurisdiction, because where does the interest lie for the council?
Well, if you look at it from the legal and the membership point of view, the institutional, it actually has 3 categories. One we call media companies, and you need to have a minimum 10 media practitioners. So it excludes the one-man show, two-person shows. Right? You have to be a small media company, and that's in category A.
Also, Malaysia now cannot be a member of MMC.
Depends on how many journalists they have.
Well, they can increase to 10.
But if you don't qualify under category A, if you're a media practitioner, if you're a journalist, you're a blogger, influencer, you can join in category B as individual, as a media practitioner, right? And that's our largest category at the moment. We have journalists, editors, and others joining there. And we have, interestingly, category C, where even if you're a non-media, so you're a civil society, you're an academic, you know, you can also join the council as a non-media in category C. So veterans, ex-journalists, ex-practitioners. So it's really kind of a new type of organization, kind of a tri-sectoral approach. And this is what we think work when you have a sector that is very important to society. So for example, in health, or say in education, or say in media. Media is not just about the media companies. Everybody consumes media. So that they also have a right. So in a way, we are very broad in terms of legalities, but you also asked what's our interest. Our interest is really in the delivery of news and information that is shaping mindsets. You know, so because what we see is in the heart of the country, right? Obviously, we're talking about something here and there. You know, may not be things, but even sports reporting is also important, right? I mean, we've seen the issue with FAM and all that, right? So I wouldn't discount any category of news.
So your influencers, your TikTokers,
they can join in category B. And the way it is that each category elects 4 representatives. So you can have a lot of members in category B, but they also only elect 4. So at the moment, the 4 who were elected came from the club reporters, Club Wartawan.
Club Wartawan, yeah.
Club Wartawan and a few other
You're
organizations.
talking about Geram, not Geram.
Not Geram.
That's category A.
Category A.
No. Media companies are category A.
Oh.
Media
B.
practitioners are category B.
So like Gram, National Press
They
Club,
form a category B.
category B.
Yeah.
Because they're not companies.
They are not companies. They are associations.
Associations.
Of media practitioners.
Okay.
So they would be associations and media practitioners form under category B.
And your definition of those organizations is minimum what?
No, there's no minimum. You can form, as long as you have an association, you can join. Club, association, but even an individual media practitioner can join. So we have many individuals joining, as members. Many of the NUJ chapters are members.
And then you vet them. I mean, you have mother, father, son organizations. They go apply for grants and they say, okay, we have a media company because we got, X number on Instagram. So,
well, if they have 10
if
they have 10 media practitioners and they are a media company, they can sign up.
So 10 minimum.
Minimum 10 media
company.
practitioners
Yeah.
for category A.
I'm talking about category B.
Any amount. You form an association, 3 people, you want to join an association, that's fine. But as an association, you get 1 vote. So you're 1 vote among, say, 300-400 votes or 500 votes. So that's your, and we welcome it. We welcome, moms and pops, everybody.
I think that is those of us, the conservative-minded practitioners who's been around for a while, is that people who haven't spent a single day in the newsroom are part of the Media Council. Who are they to tell us how to do our jobs?
That's why I said the definition of the media is very important.
But it's very broad. Like what Premesh has said, anybody and a grandmother can be a member.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the idea is that media is not just about those who have been in the newsroom, right? Of course, we are practitioners. And by being media companies, they have a large say in that sense. But we need to understand that we are no longer the end all of media. That media serves a larger public interest. The politicians of the day are interested. The readers of the day, the moms and pops of the day are interested. So, they have an interest in the larger discourse of the country.
So if I'm a consumer of media, which is basically everybody,
yes.
So
you can join in category C. So a lot of people just joining and becoming supporters of media. The fee is only 10 ringgit. It's very easy to join. The issue is not joining. The issue, if you want to influence an outcome, you have to participate. So that's tougher because you have to join a committee, you have to contribute, you have to get involved, and that recovers your time.
Yeah.
Right? And this is time not that you're going to get paid for, right? So the real Media Council is about those who volunteer and get involved and shape the outcomes. It's not just about joining, it's about participating.
Okay.
And that's the real value of the Media Council.
Are we going to model the council on the Australian Council or European Council?
We have looked at a lot of councils, including Indonesia, Australia, the UK, the Commonwealth countries like India, etc. But we also looked at Indonesia and how they structure it. So it's getting there. It's not exactly model about that. But the idea of press councils in many countries are similar. The idea is that this media kind of self-regulates. And there's a way, the mechanisms that people can, lodge complaints, resolve issues without having to go to court. So I don't see it as another layer of control. Today, someone doesn't like, what we say in this podcast, they can sue, right? And then you go to court and you spend 5 years fighting a case. Our idea is that, why not try to resolve the issue, within a complaints and a grievance procedure and get it out of the way rather than going to court for every single thing, right? I think we're all publishers. Whenever there's a case against us, I know Terence is smiling for about particular cases. It's a tough situation. Yeah. So why not have a situation where things can get resolved? So, for example, the government has set up the consumer tribunal. Consumer issue, you go settle it in the consumer tribunal. So think about it in that way. Can we move to a situation where we resolve issues quicker rather than having to go to court and spend 5 years and a lot of money fighting a case?
So how does it work now? If I say I do not like an article that's written in Scoop, for example, what do? I file a complaint with the council?
Well, the first procedure is for you to work directly with that organization, send a letter of complaint or something
it's very
like that,
difficult to work with.
So, but Terence is very difficult to work with. Then you have a recourse with the council, and then we will then inquire and say, look, what's going on? Can we resolve this matter amicably?
You have the mechanism in place.
Yes. So the code of conduct was passed. So the recent AGM last week, we have a code of conduct and a grievance mechanism, and we try to resolve it amicably. So that you say, look, I disagree. I want to write on my reply. So I'll say, yes, Terence, you reported on Datuk. He has a right reply. Please publish his right of reply. He says, okay, I'll publish it. So we think that a lot of things can be resolved in an easy way.
And as a member, Scoop has to publish.
So we'll say, look, he has the right reply. Please publish his right of reply. But in many cases, actually, we found many cases that the consumers don't understand the rule of media. Not so much the media companies don't want to publish the right of reply. They will come in with a very slanderous right of reply. And then media say, hey, I can't publish this.
Correct. Yeah, true.
So honestly speaking, I think a lot of media in this country do practice very professional journalism. I don't think the problem is in the media. I think there's a problem in media literacy out there, right?
Yeah.
But there is a mechanism where we try to resolve it. If we can't resolve it, okay, go to court, sue each other.
So the council cannot compel the editor, the organization to
We can't compel.
publish
We can't compel.
something
The
that
only thing is that we can express an opinion whether we agree or disagree. So, for example, recently, two media in the country were fined $100,000.
Oh, yeah.
Sina and Sinchu, right? For, in a way, using technology to produce things. And we expressed an opinion. We said, this is outrageous. This is ridiculous. And that was our opinion. We can't compel the government not to fine them. But we can say, based on our principle, our guidelines, we don't think this is an appropriate way of looking at the matter. So if for example, Scoop, publishes something really outrageous and you don't want to retract or do anything, we just say, in our opinion, Scoop is wrong. But that's our opinion on the journalism. Whether it's true or you agree or disagree, we're not going there yet, right? If you really want to go further, sue the media. I mean, if you really want to have millions of dollars of compensation.
So you're basically the mediator.
At the moment, we are trying to do that. Right? At the moment, we're trying to mediate and resolve issues.
So instead of going to MCMC, instead of going to PDRM, going to complain to FAMI, they come to you.
We are trying to get there. So this is a practice in many media councils that the judiciary and other parties, including the police, would agree that something is resolved through a regulatory body. So, if someone has got an issue, someone makes a police report against you, right? So they'll say, hey, this is police. 20 reports against Terence or Rocky. Hey, can you guys handle this? So police say, okay, let's work. You guys, figure it out. So we're trying to get to a position where we can, get the different authorities to work together and move in that direction. But I won't say that's overnight. That requires kind of a white paper, kind of a discussion, So I really feel that the council is just the foundation. The real work is ahead of us.
Yeah.
Right? The real work, the real changes needs a lot of persuasion and discussion. And needs to happen going forward.
I think it's good in the sense that if, every week there's some police report being lodged against some media outfit or other, right? And if the SOP, if PDRM is that, hey, you go and complain to the media council first. That'll be good.
That's right.
Right?
That's right. We don't want police walking inside here and say, hey, I did take statement. Yeah. That's what happens these days, right? Every other day the police say, hey, I did take statement. I mean, this is getting a bit, too much.
These days, those days.
So we believe that there is room to educate the public and work with media. And honestly speaking, as I don't see media in Malaysia as the kind of the problem. I think there are a lot of influencers out there. There's a lot of social media, people who are, saying things far more outrageous than, what the points of view that media are putting forward.
But, okay, so the other thing, I still want the sustainability of the media. I've always have this pet peeve, meaning, see, the government can budget money for film, Go for Gold, and then all these three programs. But at the same time, the media is so essential for democracy. And the media is left for themselves to fend for themselves. And to go and look for money, to go and be advertising. There was a time when media was very profitable, So, but now the media is struggling, and there's so many of them, and yet at the same time, whatever content they have are being distributed for free or redistributed and things like that. And at the same time, you see that the government's funding films, not to say film is bad, funding sports, not say getting gold medal for Olympics back. But I'm saying, why doesn't the government, for instance, realizing the importance of the media, come in and, have a helping hand for the industry? I mean, this is something which I think the council can champion, because then the structural shift in the way the government look at media. It's no longer this big organization that, runs billions in profit every year. So this is something which
I totally agree, and I think that that's one of the core purposes of the Media Council is to make recommendations to government. We could, for example, tax advertising, 1%. In fact, most of advertising are now going to people like Google and Meta, right? Billions of dollars.
Billions every year.
If you take about $5 to $10 billion of advertising spend, you take 1% or 2% of that, you're talking about a pool of 50 million. Even that, if we circulate it among the media, I think is already very decent amount of money.
Yeah.
Right. So there are other ways you have tax benefits. You can have other types of ways to help media organizations. You can have pools of funds for public interest media, report on health issues, report on climate issues. Right. So these are all mechanisms that we can put forward and say, yes, now we need to have a more stronger relationship. But this is how the government can help the media. Before this, the government did not have a dialogue partner. Who they go and discuss? They discuss here. They say, oh, this is your crony. You support the person, or this is your crony, right? So here we feel that why don't we have a rules-based approach and we have suggestions?
Everybody's a crony.
No, you can also compete, put up proposals for grants, innovation, So I think these things can be done, but let's do it in a systematic way and let it be powered by the industry. Like we discuss among ourselves and we come to agreement that this is the best way forward, rather than say Prem proposing or Terence proposing. The industry itself, and the government wants to hear that. They don't want to hear one person's idea. They want to say, okay, industry, what's your problem? And this is common for most industries. Most industries have associations, right? Which are always, putting proposals to the government, right? But media lacks that. And I think that's where the role that Media Council can fulfill.
I think Rocky and Zainul, especially, I think to be fair, the welfare of journalists, the welfare of media practitioners have been a talking point. This present government. And I think, Prem, before we started the podcast, you pointed out that the Media Council is actually part of the Pakatan Harapan manifesto
in 2018.
In 2018, and then they set up this Hari Wartawan Nasional 3 years ago when they came into power, and I think a few days ago, the Prime Minister, when he met with media practitioners in Sabah, he did acknowledge that journalists are underpaid, lowly paid, and I think Fahmi, the present Minister of Communications, have been talking to a lot of media owners and media practitioners about sustainability, and of course there were a lot of conversations about media buys, about grants and whatnot. And if you remember that lunch that we had with when the Fahmi hosted for media owners some months earlier this year, there was a question about yes, we are appreciative that the government is helping, but at the same time, the question about what does that mean about journalistic independence? But to be fair to Fahmi, his answer was please continue to be critical, because that's the only way this thing works. So I know, but. So as far as this current scenario is, this current government, this current minister is supportive about sustainability and whatnot. But tomorrow, say you have another government in place, there's a lot more autocratic, like Mahathir 2.3, 2.0, 3.0 that kind of situation. The Media Council could be used as another organ to shut down and be to bring down the media, like what you and I, you vote from NST.
Well, first of all,
you and I
again, the Media Council is elected by its members, so it's not going to be the government giving instructions to the Media Council. Firstly, second thing is the Media Council has no right or power to shut down any media. We can't say, hey, you tutup. There's no jurisdiction or force in that, right? So I don't see the role of the Media Council as a self-regulatory body harming its own self.
Could it be expanded though, the scope of the Media Council?
In what
Because
way?
it's an act of parliament, right?
Yeah. Obviously, I mean, any law can be passed, right? Tomorrow the next government can say, if they want to take control of the media, they just dissolve the Media Council and appoint a new council that says, I'm in control of all of you. So for example, even recently, the debate about Media Council, there was a parallel motion by the Home Ministry, right, to actually bring online media under the PPPA, right? In fact, the Home Ministry had done consultations in that sense to strengthen the PPPA framework, to expand the framework to control and license all media. So any government tomorrow, if you're in power and you have control of parliament, can definitely change the laws. But barring a change of law, right, I don't think the current Media Council, the current law, can be used to the detriment of media companies.
What about financing of the Media Council? Does it come from the government or would it be self-financed?
So the government has agreed for the first term, for the first 4 years, to fund it to the tune of a total of 20 million. So it's about 4 million a year for the first 5 years. So this is a recognition that you need some seed money to get going. But the government has asked us for a sustainability plan. How are you going to sustain this? Is it going through, say, an advertising tax or another form? So, for example, MCMC, benefits from a form of tax or contribution from telcos, right? So things like that, right? So we need to look at that. How do we do this? So we definitely need to move towards a sustainability, both for the media industry as a whole, but also for the Media Council.
So we'll need your point about the next government. Saying that the next government saying that this is our product, this is our money, we are financing it, taxpayers' money and all that. They could, if your dream of a Mahadi 3.0 happens, it could actually be used against it. So it will be down to leadership of the Media Council itself.
Yeah, you look at what is happening in the US, right? Even with all the democratic check and balance, look at what's happening in the US. So any country, a democratic country can always backslide into authoritarianism. They can, why go so far as a Media Council? Let's just start arresting journalists. You arrest a couple of journalists, every journalist will run away, right?
I mean, Trump has just sued BBC.
That's right, exactly. You sue a couple of media companies for 20 million, every company becomes your best friend. So, I think if there is not to take your point, if there is a new government and an authoritarian government comes in, it's going to be a struggle. But we hope that people have already tasted this idea of media, that media freedom, independence, that the riot themselves don't want to go back to a situation where it's a kind of a monotone coming out from the government.
I remember one of those early discussions on the Media Council when you were already there. There was a proposal to get a chairman, former judge, to be a chairman, which I opposed very strongly, because I told the meeting, you imagine the Bar Council getting a journalist to be their chairman. It is not ever going to happen. So are we going to look at, are we going to get a chairman? Because I know the deputy chairman will be running the show because you are elected. The chairman, well, are we still going to fall back on that, let's get an ex-judge or, maybe ex-politician and things like that, or are we going to get someone from among ourselves, bona fide journalists,
I mean, that's a good question. There are two exclusion criteria. They cannot be a member of a political party and they cannot be a civil servant. So those are excluding criteria, right? Everybody else is open. Whether you choose someone from the industry, like an industry veteran, whether you choose, a notable, public leader, whether you choose a judge, these are questions, right? This is something the council has to discuss and propose. What we want is someone who is happy to speak out and defend press freedom. That's the number one criteria, right? Someone who has the courage to be the voice, to be there and speak up. But someone who can also reconcile different views, because even in the council you may have different views because there are different sectors there, and someone who can also speak to the government saying, this is a period of transition. It's not about status quo. It's not about a chairperson coming there and saying, everything is perfect, let's just hold status quo. This has to be a champion of change, an advocate. How are they going to push for a Freedom of Information Act? How are they going to make changes to the Defamation Act? So that's what we're looking for. Whether that's best from someone who has been in the shoes of an editor or journalist, could be, or someone else, But we're really looking for a strong voice who will be passionate about defending the industry and moving the industry forward.
So what's the process of appointing this chairperson?
The chairperson is appointed by the board. So now the board has been elected. We will then have a discussion among ourselves, propose names, go through some sort of, voting process. And then, of course, we're going to discuss with possible candidates, right? If we invite someone to be chair, they may not want the burden. They may say, this is not a burden that I want to have, right? So I think that dialogue has to happen. But we hope it happen as soon as possible. So that's one of the priority areas that we need to
Does it need ministerial blessing?
No.
How's the response like for membership for the council now from the media organization and from non-media organization?
It's pretty good. I mean, it's been pretty good. We have, I think, at least more than 70% of the, eligible media companies on board. Of course, we want more. But one very difficult thing we had to face was achieving quorum. So people may not know that we only got our initial little bit of money from the government like a week before the AGM. So all this time we've been running on volunteer energy, right? Everybody has been a volunteer, and our big funding is only coming next year. We still don't have any money. So to hold, some people say, oh, you need the 10,000 members. I mean, how do you want to hold an AGM for 10,000 members when you have no money?
Yeah.
The organizing capacity behind that,
But you want to be less reliant on the government, correct?
Yeah, so this is a period. So you need to get the money in, build up the secretariat, and then figure out what's your strategy to be less reliant. But it's like a startup. How do you sequence the events towards something? So we were also very careful about, having too many members, because then you can't achieve quorum. And then you can't achieve quorum, you're dead.
Yeah.
So it was a delicate situation of doing our best we can and being as representative we can with no money in hand. So, many of us put out money from our own pockets and volunteered our energy for this to happen. So really thankful to the team and everybody who has volunteered to get us so far.
What about your point on bringing the industry together, because they've been so very hard to get them into the party under one umbrella. What about getting the associations, organizations like the National Press Club, Malaysian Press Institute, National Union of Journalists be mandatory, compulsory? You know what? But bringing them all and say that you need to gather everyone under this umbrella, and you come to a point when if any of the organizations said we like to be outside it, then you have already, who are your friends and who are your enemies, and because you need to press ahead. So I'm just thinking that, democracy aside, we have 20, 30, maybe 40 groups, journalist groups out there.
Yeah.
And this media council is so crucial for us, for our independence, for our sustainability. You need everyone to come in and support. Call them for a meeting and say, guys, there are only 5 organizations who are members of the Media Council. We want everybody in, get them to commit or see them walk, just like that, so that you will get everyone under you after one meeting.
Yeah, we really hope the National Press Council, MPI, I think MPI has already joined as a member. I'm not sure about the NPC, but we really want everybody on board. So besides the 12 elected board members, we also have 6 appointments to balance any areas that are not covered by the elections. So currently, besides the 12 elected, and in the 12 we also have people like NSC is there, Star has already been elected, we're all there. But among this, we have appointed 4 so far. So one, Datuk to cover the Chinese media has been appointed. Mr. Encik Manan from the Tamil Media Association has been appointed. We had Ashwat Ismail from Astro from broadcast, and we also appointed Te Atira from NUJ to represent the National Union of Journalists. So where there are gaps, we will pull people in. So for example, at the moment, we may not have a radio representative. How do we get the radio stations in, NPC or MPI, So there is that room for appointment. But really, the board in effect only meets once every 3 months. The real work is at the committee level. Right, at the secretariat and at the committee level. So, we have a program on media sustainability, a program on law reform. These are the critical on media literacy. So, if you want to participate and make a change, that's where you belong. So, there's certain people who will be on the board level, but like most boards, right? What is the impact of the board versus what is the impact of the secretariat and the committees? So, we hope that, participation is going to be key in order to move the agenda forward.
Would you be advocating for responsible media ownership? Anybody with money wants to can set up a portal and then
we can't. I don't think it's going to be difficult to say, well, you can have a company, you can't, right? Because in a way, media happens after the fact. Correct. How do I know whether you're going to be responsible or not? So we can't say, oh, you're a political party, you can't set up, you can't. Then that's not the idea, right? I think the freedom of expression is governed in the Constitution, right? It's Article 10 of Constitution guarantees everybody the freedom of Constitution, and the courts have expanded that to the right to publish. This was the court case that Malaysiakini fought against the Home Ministry under the PPPA, where we applied for a license, which we won. And the government said that the judge ruled that because of freedom of expression, you cannot undermine the right to publish. So we cannot then regulate against the Constitution to say, sorry, Terence, you can't have a media company. But once you have a company, what you publish can be scrutinized and saying, look, actually you're not being very responsible with your publication. So I feel that's a better way forward to look at what is being published rather than decide who can publish and who can't publish.
Because journalists, media practitioners' welfare is also your ambit of scope, right? And
I see where you're getting.
Are you going to be usurping the role of the unions, like NUJ, for instance?
The employer-employee relationship is contractual law, right? We cannot intervene and say things like that. We can, if there's a complaint, certain employees not getting paid, we can highlight this. We can have a discussion with the management, what's going on. We can try to improve things, right? But employees have rights. If they're not paid, they have to, go through the normal course and seek a remedy through the current employment laws.
Premesh, this council, what is the end state that you see? What's the end state that you want to be from this council?
The end state, I think we have a good deal of work ahead of us. One is, of course, to build membership and credibility. That's really important. Two is to change the set of laws so that they're more amicable to the current technology, current media. I think that's the second big challenge. And third is to build sustainability. So we're not dependent on government funds. So three big things that we have to achieve in the first few years of the organization. And like Rocky pointed out, it's not something to be, it's not an easy task. It's not an easy task, right? I think it's a challenging task. We do not know whether we will achieve it. But we hope that each of us who care about journalism can contribute to this, right? So we are passionate about journalism. We are passionate about the role that journalism plays in our democracies. We hope we can all contribute to make this happen.
Well, Terence, we definitely need to register Scoop.
Well, definitely we have to register Scoop. And, this is something that was 40 years in the making. And the moral of the story is that, if you want something done...
You even born...
Yeah. If you want something done, you get an Indian to do it. Pramesh, thanks so much for
Thank you, brother.
joining us. Really appreciate it. And
Thanks.
Good
Hope you all
all
join.
the best.
Please welcome.
And we will. I think we will have a short sidebar and we'll probably send you a membership forms.
Great.
Take care, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Trick Lama.